Hey guys, so today I am going to talk about the top 5 things to know about renting here in Houston, Texas. Again, Houston being the fourth largest city in the United States, and in this crazy buying market right now, a lot of people are opting to rent as opposed to buy. Because of the market, number one, or also because it's just what they've always done. Or two, if you are coming to the area and you just want to kind of scope out different areas before you actually purchase a home, that's definitely a reason why you would want to rent. So I will just go ahead and get started. Okay, so actually before I get started, one thing to mention, just like the home prices are increasing, the rental market is also increasing in prices too. So if that was your main reason of why you feel that you want to rent is because it's cheaper, I would definitely look into or do a deep dive into those numbers to see if that's actually advantageous for you, if that is your primary reason. So just to keep that in mind. And if it's something that you need help with, we are definitely more than happy to help you with that as well, because that's what we do. So just like purchasing a house, what is huge or the most important thing is location, location, location. So it's all about where you want to be. What's important to you? Do you want to be near work? Are you trying to be near other family? Are you wanting to be in the hot places of town? So just to name a few places that are popular for rental, I would say if you're younger, when I say younger, because that is definitely subjective, newly graduated from college, young professional, some of the trendier youthful communities around town would include the Heights, Rice Military, Midtown, Montrose, River Oaks area, Galleria, which is outside of the loop. So most of everything that I'm talking about would be inside the loop, but Galleria is just right outside, but definitely a great area to rent in as well. Uptown, the medical center, which is great for nurses and anybody in the medical field or medical field students. Definitely a good place to rent in, and the museum district. So all of those places, like I said, would be more of apartment rentals and possibly some townhomes. And so those are all within the loop, and definitely, have the culture, the nightlife, great restaurants, bars, clubs, and definitely more walkable compared to the rest of the city. Again, like you guys know, Houston being the fourth largest city in the US, we're not necessarily condensed, and we don't have a public transit system here that is widely used. So if walkability is something that you're looking for, it would be a little bit better in those areas. For families, I would definitely suggest, more of our suburbs. And I know in other videos I've spoken about other suburbs, and it's really just about, what you're looking for. And so just location, location, location. Okay, second thing I want to talk about in terms of renting in Houston is representation. What does that mean? Having a buyer's agent work for you. So for the most part, if you are looking to rent a house here in Houston, it will be listed by a listing agent, and it is definitely advantageous for you to have a buyer's agent to assist you for multiple reasons. One, if you are wanting to see lots of different homes all over Houston, it's easier just to have one person help you, schedule all these appointments versus you yourself having to make appointments with, every different listing agent throughout town of, those places that you want to look at. Another reason is that they definitely do their due diligence in terms of, what's included in the house, what's not. They can definitely ask the agent in terms of what their requirements are before you actually spend the money to do an application. So those application fees can be anywhere from like $30 to $60. And if you're applying for many houses, it starts to add up. And so it definitely helps if you can have somebody, have your back in terms of looking out for you. And before you even have to spend that money on the application, do their due diligence and tell you, okay, this isn't something that you should move forward with, let's go on and look at something else. Definitely something to think about too is if you are renting for the short term versus long term. Anything more than a year would be long term. And so having representation, they can help you, negotiate those terms for you as well. So think about having some representation if and when you're wanting to rent here. Okay, something else to think about is parking. I know I've said this in a previous video, but if you don't know, Houston does not have any zoning laws. So you can have, a commercial building right next to residential, right next to a school. And it gets very, very tricky in terms of parking, especially if you are looking at something in the loop. So, things to consider if you are getting a townhome with 2 other roommates and it only comes with 2 parking spots in the garage. Is there parking outside for them? Do they have to walk really far or on Tuesdays or Thursdays when they have trash pickup, are they going to have to find somewhere else to park? Is there guest parking? Is it next to a nightclub or a restaurant to where you won't find parking on the weekends? So it's just something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. And when you are looking for a place, then I would highly recommend that. Obviously, if you're looking for a home out in the suburbs, not too big of a deal. But if you are looking at places in the inner loop, definitely keep that in mind. Okay, number 4, top 4 things, or number 4 of what to think about when renting in Houston is appliances. A lot of people, you don't think about those things and you would assume that a lot of places that it's included. Apartment wise, I would say probably that they are included, but definitely look into that or make sure that you look into it. But if you are renting a home out in the suburbs or really anywhere else, those things aren't necessarily included. So the refrigerator and the washer and dryer, I would make sure to ask. And a lot of times if it's not included, I've heard of other people or renters proposing this to the landlords or property manager. If they purchase it on their own, when they move out, would they purchase it back from them at 80 to 90% of the cost? And that really is just kind of helping them for future tenants that they could request more rent in the future. But it really kind of helps you out while you're there, and then could possibly help out the landlord in the future. And so kind of a win-win situation versus renting the home and then having to pay for renting those appliances as well. But that kind of goes back to having representation. That is something that an agent can help you with or help you negotiate those terms also. So don't assume that it's always going to be there. Look into those details of appliances. Okay, so last one, number 5 of things to think about when renting in Houston is your timeline. And I guess that's not just in Houston, but again, something just to think about. Timeline wise, meaning, if you start too early, a lot of things are just going to not be ready when you're ready, especially with homes. Once homes get on the market, they're trying to rent them as quickly as possible. Again, something where an agent can help you with in terms of, looking for things, having, your timeline, where you need to be, when you need to be, when you're going to be out of something else, and really have that thought out for you. Same thing with apartments. It's kind of, they'll have a better idea in terms of what the inventory looks like because they know, when tenants are moving out and when it will be available for you. But I guess this is more so on the home side is, thinking about that timeline of if you trying to get ahead of the game, but if it's too much time, it's not necessarily advantageous to you. So just keep those things in mind. So just to review, all the things I spoke about was location, having representation, parking, appliances, and your timeline. So those are the 5 things to think about if you are interested in renting in Houston. Thank you guys. Talk to you later.